In 1920, a team of Russian geologists embarked on an expedition to one of the most remote regions of Siberia. A tremendous explosion was reputed to have taken place roughly a decade earlier, one that had flattened entire forests for hundreds of miles. Upon reaching the Tunguska River, the expedition's guides would go no further, fearing what they called the valleymen and speaking of superstitious tales of vengeful gods who slaughtered the surrounding wildlife. Only a scant few traces of the expedition were ever recovered after they disappeared, but even as the Russian Empire retreated into isolationism and ties with the outside world were severed, strange tales started emanating from the reclusive nation. European intelligence services began reporting hundreds of ghost towns, entire cities abandoned, strange weather patterns and mysterious lights seen in the night skies. In 1948, the broadcasts of the 12,000 transmitter stations that constituted the Russian radio network were replaced by a single looping phrase: brotherhood, strength, and fortitude in the face of the angry night. Theories were rampant as to the cause of the Russian situation and included a biological or chemical disaster, some new type of weapon, or even Russian experiments. But when the true nature of this threat was revealed and broke through the Russian border fortifications and spread across the world, it was far worse than anyone could have imagined. They are known by many names. In Russia as the Angry Night, in Italy as the Deathless Plague, yet one other above all, the Chimera. This monstrous alien race are not a single species, but rather a collection of various strains united under a caste-based hive-like mentality. Each strain is the apparent result of a biological weapon known as the Chimeran virus, which mutates and transforms humans and animals alike into new forms of hybridized life. This is accomplished primarily through small, beetle-like parasites known as crawlers, which inject the virus into a victim's body, usually after entering through the nose or mouth. Crawlers are typically deployed into populated areas through the use of Spire missiles, which can quickly infect entire cities in only a few hours. Once these parasites have fully merged into the host, the victim will fall into a comatose state, eventually transforming into one of the lower strains of the Chimeran race. To speed up this process or to create more advanced strains, infected bodies are retrieved and then taken to a network of conversion centers. The Chimera fabricated here are far more capable variants than those created naturally and are routinely augmented with cybernetic implants, most notably external cooling mechanisms which help offset the Chimera's dangerously enhanced metabolism. The most common Chimera strains vaguely resemble humans, although regularly include up to 3 pairs of golden eyes and grayish-green skin. Within the Chimera's hierarchy, these species fill the lowest tiers of the worker and warrior castes. The more advanced but less common Chimera strains vary wildly in appearance, and often fulfill a very distinct role or have been designed to function within a specific environment. In rare cases, the Chimera have been known to reconstitute thousands or even tens of thousands of human bodies into enormous creatures reaching heights of 300 feet or more. In response to changing conditions or local resistance, certain Chimeran strands may be phased out by newer and more effective variants within a relatively short amount of time. Strains abandoned or cut off from the Chimeran hive mind revert to a bestial state and can become hostile to their former kin. Feral Chimera exhibit their own form of hierarchy and seem to disproportionately include the more animalistic strains. The exact relationship between the various species of the Chimeran virus remains only partially explained, although generally, lesser strains serve higher ones who, in turn, exert some method of control over them. During their time on Earth, the Chimera have made use of several dedicated leadership strains who use a type of telepathy to extend their influence. In a unique occurrence, a being known as Daedalus assumed sole command of the Chimera, replacing much of the leadership caste that had come before. The Chimeran ability to combine artificial and biological systems makes it difficult to distinguish Chimeran life from their highly advanced technology. They make use of a number of machines, ranging from mobile siege platforms to enormous battleships and support vehicles. While these craft are known to include lesser Chimeran strains that serve as crew, it is entirely possible that some of these machines themselves might possess an advanced intelligence, and in a sense, be alive. Perhaps the strangest element of Chimeran technology are the immense towers which have been uncovered across the world. While the design of these monolithic structures is clearly alien in origin, they are excavated from beneath the surface of the planet rather than built, suggesting the Chimera were active on Earth sometime during the distant past. Within months of the Chimera's overrunning of Europe, dozens of towers were excavated across the continent, and it soon became clear that they were interconnected, forming a vast planetary network. In several cases, larger hub towers were identified and destroyed by local resistance groups, disrupting large sections of the network in the British Isles and Western Europe, and leaving the Chimera there scattered and leaderless. Despite these setbacks, the Chimera were able to launch an enormous invasion of North America and further extend their network. Within the center of the Chicxulub crater on the Yucatan Peninsula, the largest tower of the network ever observed was uncovered, one that seemingly acted as the center of the entire global apparatus. Desperate to destroy this tower before the network could fulfill its ultimate purpose, the last remaining military forces of the United States detonated an atomic bomb aboard Daedalus's flagship, destroying much of the fleet stationed there, but also inadvertently triggering the network and opening a wormhole to the Chimera's home planet. With the Earth completely under their control, numerous terraforming devices were placed in orbit to slowly cool the planet and make it more suitable for Chimeran life. In a last-ditch attempt to save humanity, a terraformer located over the new center of the network, New York City, was critically disabled, causing it to crash into the tower below, closing the wormhole. With the link to their planet severed, the terraforming process was halted, and Earth's ecosystem began showing signs of recovery. The victory in New York proved to be the beginning of the end of the Chimera, and all across the world, resistance fighters began reclaiming the ruined cities of mankind. This terrible enemy remains as much a mystery as ever, and their defeat leaves behind only unanswered questions. Perhaps the most lingering mystery is if the Chimera have any true form, or exist only as hybrids born of other species. Whether the so-called pure Chimera are still out there, waiting in the stars, is the subject of much debate. But the most haunting evidence for their existence can be found in the final words of the man responsible for their eventual defeat. Can you hear them? They are calling to us. It's beautiful. This is just the beginning. The Templin Institute investigates nations, organizations, and factions from alternate worlds and realities. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. Do you have a suggestion for a future episode? Let us know by leaving a comment.